Okay, The Princess and the Frog. You're probably thinking, I'm probably not the sort of person this movie is actually geared to. And the premise is actually, a fairly simple and actually a fairly genuine one from the most of the Disney movies. Because it's not actually about, a woman who wants to be a princess. Okay, essentially it's about two different girls. You have one girl who lives out the small princess fantasy, and then the other girl, who's the main character, who lives out more of kind of like the... I don't want to say pauper, but for lack of better terminology currently, I'll say the pauper role. So you have the one girl who gets everything. Pretty much everything. She complains to Big Daddy, and Big Daddy makes it happen. Where the other girl works hard, scrapes to get, a nice living, and her big dream is to own a restaurant. Why? Because her dad wanted to have a restaurant. He never made the money for it. Other girl, she just wants to become a real life princess. Period. She really doesn't have any huge, goals. She's kind of just the, I'm the princess, but she's still friends with, the girl who ends up becoming the waitress. So you have like the waitress, like the woman who's affluent, from money, and the waitress. Lo and behold, a prince ends up coming to town. The town, of course, is New Orleans. I enjoyed this movie primarily because it's set in New Orleans. Do they throw in characters that are a little bit more toward the bigotous side of what you would expect people to be like in New Orleans? Yes, but it's a Disney movie, so caricatures get taken to that super far extreme. Now, there's a voodoo man, the Shadow Man, who wants to take over New Orleans. The best way for him to do that is essentially to have somebody take over the spot for Big Daddy, who currently kind of runs New Orleans. A prince shows up. The prince is kidnapped and turned into a frog. His blood is used to fill an amulet, which turns the Shadow Man's flunky into the prince. Therefore, he can get married to Big Daddy's daughter, and then, if something were to happen to Big Daddy, they would therefore become the rulers of New Orleans. Now, of course, something happens. The waitress, while dressed up as a princess because it's a masquerade ball, finds the currently turned into a frog prince. The spell's broken when Frog Prince kisses a princess. He's under the impression that that woman is a princess. Kisses her. She becomes a frog. So it's the two of them as frogs trying to escape the Shadow Man, as well as make it back in time to have Frog Prince kiss Big Daddy's little girl, who is the Princess of Mardi Gras. Yes, that counts. Or so we're told from the blind voodoo queen who lives in the swamp. Musically wise, I'll be honest, I really do not like musicals at all. I like this because I love New Orleans. Period. And you do get a decent hit. You get some of the jazz, you get some more of the Creole music. You do get a nice wide variety of music that does have a very much New Orleans flair to it. And I will say this, Disney does a phenomenal job on their villains. From starting with Satan and Fantasia, to Maleficent, I think that was her name, to the villain they had in like the Black Cauldron, to Jafar, to the Shadow Man. They always do a really good job with their villains. When the villain is like, he's like, yeah, the amulet's out of blood and the frog escaped. I'm gonna talk to my voodoo lords and be like, I need one more favor. I can give you all of New Orleans, all the souls in New Orleans. We gotta find this frog. And they sends out shadow demons, which look kind of like something Tim Burton would draw. And of course, there's always a happy ending. This one is a slightly different version of a happy ending, though. And along the way, they do realize it's not what you want, it's what you need. This whole time, she just wants to have that restaurant. Her daddy wanted to have that restaurant, but her daddy had everything he needed. He had the love and affection of a family. What does she have? She just has this want to fulfill what she thought her dad's dream was, what her dream was. To own a restaurant. What does she really need? The prince, he really wants to be human, so he can go back to living his life of luxury and of excess. That's what he wants. What does he really need? And that's what it comes down to. So it actually has a pretty decent underlying story to it, beyond some of the more kind of, bizarre subplots. Nicely, everything does get, every character does actually have their subplot fulfilled. You have the alligator who plays jazz. You have the firefly who's in love with the star. Everything does come to fruition at the very end. And it's done fairly well. If you're not a huge fan of Disney musicals or Disney cartoons in general, you can still enjoy this, as long as you actually do enjoy that Smooth and Y'allins jazz.